We continue to take a close look at some of the big issues we're going to be hearing about this year. And one of them is the future of Dallas City Hall. City leaders have said the cost of fixing up the 50-year-old building is at least $345 million. Former Mayor Tom Leppert and former Mayor Ron Kirk wrote an op-ed in the Dallas Morning News recently, and we spoke with Leppert about it.
I think, Jack, I probably bring an interesting perspective to this issue. I not only officed there for 4 years, I ran the largest building company in the nation. I'm chairman of the board of the largest building contractor here in this part of the country. So I kind of look at it maybe from a perspective that is a little bit different and maybe a little bit more experienced than some other folks that are commenting on this. It is an old building. It's 50 years old. It was inefficient running as an office building to start with. It has gotten more efficient over the years. In addition to that, it is all of suffering that you would expect of a 50-year-old building. It's got old systems in it that need to be replaced, et cetera, et cetera. That is going to be extremely expensive. As you and I talked about a moment ago, I can tell you that whenever you go into a building that's 50 years old to do major renovations, the costs only go one way, and that's up. Once they start opening those walls, do the drainage, do the leak repairs, those sorts of things, it's going to be more expensive than they think it's going to be. So where you end up is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to kind of bring a building back, but it will never be particularly efficient. It will never be a great office building to run operations or any organization in. And to me, it is incredibly wasteful and almost contemptuous of the taxpayer to think that we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. We're not going to get a particularly efficient building or one that is going to be useful to the city, even after all of this work to be done. It just becomes wasteful, to be frank with you. And especially at a time when there is so much office space downtown that can be utilized at a fraction of the cost, it just doesn't make sense to do it.
And so before we get into that, what do you say to those who don't want to see that building, flattened, okay? They say it has historical value, and this gives the city a sense of history, and they believe in some cases the city is rushing to judgment. What do you say to that?
Give me your check for $500 million.
You're saying it's just not worth it?
It's not fair to the taxpayers. The taxpayers are the ones that are going to take the burden of that. For somebody to say, I really like the building and I want it to hold, that's simply not fair to the individuals that are going to put $500 million down and not get much out of it. I think in some ways it's disingenuous, in other ways it's selfish. I think you have to look at it as a hard economic decision. And that hard economic decision, I think, has one solution to it. I understand people fall in love with buildings, et cetera, that sort of thing. But let's be realistic. It's a 50-year-old building. It's not a 100-year-old building or a 150-year-old building.
And so obviously you're not suggesting that the city build a new city hall, just use some of the office space that already exists that's vacant.
Absolutely.
Do you have any sites in mind?
Oh, I don't have any sites in mind. I don't think it would be a difficult exercise. I think you would have a number of property owners, developers that would be more than interested in engaging the city in a conversation to take up that much square foot. The other thing is, keep in mind, it's also valuable for downtown. We've got all of this empty space here. Empty space isn't good for anyone there. So by utilizing that space, it's actually going to increase the occupancy rates in the downtown area, which I think will actually help all of downtown.
And so I guess part of the reason that you like the idea of having somebody else be the landlord, where if the city is renting space, right? Are you talking about the city purchasing a building, or are you talking about the city renting space?
Where the economics are today, and again, looking at it as a hard business decision, my view would be you rent. I think, again, you will have a very attractive offers that will save the city money. That makes a lot more sense for the taxpayer.
Let's say the city does that, right? And they put that property up for sale. I would imagine the city's going to have to knock down the building, right, before, as part of any agreement?
I think what you are pointing out important, though, Jack, is there's two different decisions to be made. One is, what we do with city government in terms of housing, office space, and that sort of thing, and what makes the most sense for the taxpayers. Now, if we decide that it is to move to other places, then it brings in the second decision, and that is, what do you do with that area? Knock it down, sell it, etc. But those are two separate decisions, so let's not confuse the two of them, because you've got some people that object to, well, I don't want the city to do X, Y, or Z with it, so therefore I'm going to be opposed. You can't do that. They are two separate decisions.
Okay, and that's what you would suggest to city leaders?
Yes.
Make this as a separate thing, and with the keeping in mind the most important aspect being the taxpayer.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to note, you're working with a piece of land that I think has real value, potentially for a lot of different uses. Clearly one has been aired and identified publicly as one option.
The Dallas Mavericks.
The Dallas Mavericks. And that may be a terrific option. I can make the argument to you today that that would be a great place to put it, because with all the investment that's going in downtown, and it'll be roughly over the next 5 years, plus or minus $10 billion, we have never had that much investment going in downtown. This is an enormous opportunity, if we do it right, to utilize that space much better for the downtown and for the city of Dallas than it is today, simply as a city hall. With all the other investments, we can go in there and really create something that's special downtown. This is a great opportunity.
Well, because the new convention center is going to be that way,
right.
Towards
so you
30.
Come down the convention center and then go back down Lamar, and in that entire area you can do some special things. Clearly entertainment, all different sorts, and there's a lot of people that are smart at this and they can come up with the ideas, but it doesn't take a lot of imagination to think about something that could come out very special.
Some council members have questioned whether the city is rushing the process instead of implementing a more deliberative process to determine if the building can be fixed for less money than stated.